And we are live.
Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. This is Rudkowski and Jason Bermas of WeAreChange here for our Sunday recap show with yet no official name yet. We still got to think of one, Jason, but we are live here every single Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern, and today is September 9th, 2018. We're going to be live on Facebook, on Periscope. The episode of this will be available on iTunes later, but predominantly, we, of course, are going to be talking to everyone on our YouTube channel. Of course, WeAreChange and interacting with everyone's questions there, especially the super chats that, keep us a free and independent news outlet, not catering to any corporatist or government agenda. Yeah, that's a very important one. So I appreciate all the super chats. And just like every Sunday show, we're going to go over first the most important story that we all need to talk about, and then talk about all the stories that happened Monday through Sunday that are very important for you to understand. And of course, we're getting into a lot of topics. As you know, I haven't been around for the last 2 weeks. Jason, you've been doing an incredible job. I was just at Burning Man. I'm still trying to decompress to regular society and life. It's pretty difficult. I've been watching Fear of the Walking Dead, trying to accompany myself to what reality is out there in real life. And it's a great show, by the way, Jason. I think even a lot better than The Walking Dead. But that's what I've been up to. What about you?
It hasn't been Fear of the Walking Dead, friend. It's been trying to keep up with this whirlwind of foreign policy, of internet censorship, and of parapolitics behind the scenes because although the right and left are squawking at one another, no one has an independent voice. And Luke, as we speak, the obfuscation of what's going on in Syria is happening before our eyes.
Well, yeah, that's why the first thing that I wanted to talk about is all of these week's events that I think are cultivating into what really looks like total war and destruction. It's getting very serious and it's ramping up. And from everything I'm looking at my analysis, these week's events crescendo to a very, very, very bad path that the United States is on. I mean, one of the first articles that I have here is, of course, the story that broke this week of the anonymous op-ed that was written in the New York Times with allegedly a member of Trump's administration. And what's really interesting about this story, this anonymous resistance member within Trump's administration calls Trump out for lowering tensions between North Korea and Russia, and talks about how there's a group of people trying to steer Donald Trump towards a more Republican course. And of course, if you look at the Republican course under George W. Bush, it was all-out war and destruction, which of course was continued by Barack Obama. And Donald Trump is following suit, whether he's being coerced into doing it or whether he's doing it independently. But that was a major story that broke that showed that there is an inner bias within the White House that is pushing for more conflict within Russia. Also this week, we saw Alex Jones permanently deplatformed, not only from Twitter, but also the Apple store that banned his very popular app that grossed to number 3, but was totally deleted and eviscerated by Apple. All of this, of course, happened with collusion from the mainstream media, as we saw the mainstream media tweeting out the same moment that Twitter decided that Alex Jones is permanently banned from using Twitter along with InfoWars. We also saw Paul Joseph Watson suspended for 12 hours, Twitter looking into his activity, trying to find a reason to take him down. Again, very selective enforcement, but shows clear collusion that happened between CNN, especially Oliver Darcy, and Twitter, who gave them foreknowledge and cooperated together to bring down Alex Jones from the social media platforms and deplatforming him totally from the major technocratic monopolies that control national discourse. And of course, this was celebrated by many people on the left, but what they're ultimately celebrating is war. If you look at the strings that social media is attached to, especially the government surveillance programs, you see that the government and social media tech monopolies, Twitter, Facebook, Google, all go hand, cooperate together, and not only spy on the American people, share your social media data with spy agencies all throughout the world. But even as Edward Snowden put it, Facebook is a surveillance company rebranded as social media. And we have seen Facebook time and time again counter and attack people, including people like PragerU, including people who are anti-war, anti-establishment, doesn't matter if you're on the left, it doesn't matter on your right, and hurt their actual organization by limiting their reach. So it's not only total censorship that we are seeing, but we're also seeing just shadow banning, soft censorship, and reach of people who are going against mainly the military-industrial complex being completely shut down. And that's why Free Thought Project, Anti-Media, their news organizations are doing worse than ever, and they had to fire recently a lot of their staff members. All the voices calling for resistance or calling for peace, calling for not war, are pretty much being shut down in one way or another. And this all cultivated and shows you how the military-industrial complex ties are directly in this, because not only does the big social media giants, the mainstream media, and the government all collude together, but this all cultivated with just recently YouTube shutting down all Syrian state channels. This is as a big major turning point is happening inside of Syria, inside the assault of Idlib, which of course we're hearing many contradicting views from. But YouTube shutting down and terminating the Syrian state YouTube channel is really, really selective enforcement. Them shutting down Alex Jones, them cutting the reach of all the anti-war people. This to me is not happening on accident. This to me is a campaign that is happening right now that is leading to a very disastrous end. Because when you terminate the Syrian state YouTube channels, you're terminating a side of the dialogue. You're terminating a side of this war that people deserve to know and see. Sure, there's a lot of criticisms that you could put towards certain channels and certain news organizations, but ultimately the best way to get an informed opinion about what's really happening is to hear all the voices. Right now, all the voices that are screaming against U.S. interventionism, U.S. war, U.S. aggression are being absolutely shut down. And that's why the Pentagon is now sending Marines. They're doing live fire drills inside of Syria. The U.S. military is preparing for a, quote, all options in Syria. And Donald Trump is reiterating this kind of push by the military-industrial complex, by the intel agencies who want more war, who want bigger conflict, whether he is being co-opted, whether he placed a later letter in the New York Times or whether it was someone else. This push is very serious, and they're pushing towards something extremely disastrous. President Donald Trump a couple days ago tweeted, President Bashar al-Assad of Syria must not recklessly attack Idlib province. The Russians and Iranians would be making a grave humanitarian mistake to take part in this potential human tragedy. Hundreds of thousands of people could be killed. Don't let that happen. Again, letting his voice known and be clear that he is full on with the war agenda, telling them that there will be grave consequences if Russia, Iran, Syria attack the province of Idlib. And we saw similar neoconservative war messages from Donald Trump's UN ambassador, Nikki Haley, who said, if there is a future chemical weapons attack, Assad did it. Ultimately, acting like she's some kind of psychic, predicting something that hasn't happened yet, but already coming to a conclusion that it's going to mean war. And again, the U.S. is reporting that they're seeing evidence of Syria preparing chemical weapons attack. And this, of course, made me tweet this fake Sun Tzu quote from The Art of War, where he said, quote, when your enemy is nearly defeated and final victory is at hand, gas your own people so that greater nations than yours will intervene and destroy you. Which, again, just shows you at the exact level of hypocrisy and idiocracy that's happening in our foreign policy discourse, with the United States not having the best record of interventions, with them pushing for more interventions while silencing anyone against it. I mean, if you just look at the track record, whether it's WMDs inside of Iraq, whether it's killing what people report millions of people inside of the Middle East, creating ISIS, and now pushing this, it leaves a lot of doubt in people's mind, rightfully. And the voices that are reiterating this, especially with what Hillary and Obama just recently did to Libya, leaving 1.1 million people in dire need of humanitarian aid, creating a stateless, sectarian, violent state, where different factions are fighting each other, where literally slavery was brought back into that country. People are left to ponder, like, hey, these next wars that you're pushing, we're not buying this act of humanitarian crisis, since the United States with their foreign policy has created a lot of it. You could tell that to all the, 26 kids who were bombed by a U.S. Lockheed Martin missile by the U.S. Saudi Arabian coalition in Yemen. It's absolutely atrocious that these people are trying to play off the humanitarian card right now. Seeing Nikki Haley go up there saying, no, you may not bomb Idlib, even though there's other U.S. officials who are coming out and are saying the Idlib the province, is pretty much run by Al-Qaeda. And again, this seems like a very controversial point. This is a point never talked about by mainstream media, very rarely talked by alternative media. If they are, they're attacked, like we're shadow banned, like we're censored in many soft and different ways. But you could even look at videos from Idlib where there's young kids talking about how they destroyed the Twin Towers in 9/11. Saying that, this is an Al-Qaeda zone, celebrating, saying this is Al-Qaeda here, and we're going to destroy the Western nations. This is what Nikki Haley, this is what Donald Trump are now protecting, a province mainly controlled by Al-Qaeda, radical Islamic terrorists, and they're doing it for, quote, humanitarian purposes. This is the whole face value bullcrap that is being spread to you, and anyone speaking against this, again, is just down throttled, is hurt by the new algorithms. And again, Mathis is claiming that there's intelligence, that there's no intelligence at all, that Al-Qaeda has weapons of mass destruction, that Al-Qaeda is there. But even the own U.S. State Department issued a travel advisory to the province of Idlib saying that ISIS and Al-Qaeda rebels pretty much control that area. And that's exactly what's happening. And with rebels there launching attacks on neighboring cities like Makradin, killing civilians, mainly going after Christian communities, you have to ask yourself which side the United States is on. And there's also a new troubling report coming out today. This is, of course, from the Russian military, saying that U.S. jets just struck a Syrian town with banned white phosphorus bombs. This is according to the Russian defense minister. Of course, this report has not been confirmed. It could be wrong, but the United States is carrying out military operations in Syria. Donald Trump has very heavy-handedly attacked the Syrian government when they were fighting radical Islamic rebels in that country, showing once again what side he is truly on. And he is on the side of Israel, that just also this week admitted bombing Syria over 200 times in 2 years. The war is already happening. Major superpowers are already involved. Israel also admitted this week that they were secretly arming and funding 12 Syrian rebel groups inside of Syria to go against Bashar al-Assad. And of course, as we have been finding out from investigative journalists, when they go into Syria, when they go into lands that were held previously by either Al-Qaeda, Al-Nusra, ISIS, whichever terrorist group, they're finding U.S. weapons, Israeli weapons, Saudi Arabian weapons that radical Islamic terrorists were using, spreading their hateful ideology that, of course, commits terrorism in the West. Something that Trump supporters need to face the reality of if they actually want to stop radical Islamic terrorism, if they actually want to stop the refugee crisis that's happening. You address the main core issue that's causing it, and that, of course, is this globalist military-industrial complex war of aggression that absolutely makes no sense at all and is backing the very enemies that come into our country and bomb the crap out of people or drive buses into civilian areas. And of course, the Russians here are not taking anything lightly. They're, of course, doing their own military drills. They're sending their own military hardware, their ships, their aircraft, their military personnel, and they're doing their own military drills inside of Syria, and they're continuing with the attack on Idlib. And again, just like this tweet highlights here, the New York Times, again, pushes out more propaganda saying that Assad forces are about to attack Idlib, the last rebel-held province, fearing a, quote, manslaughter, but then forgetting the point that it is mainly Islamic terrorists who are in that country, and then people who are tweeting criticisms of it are being shadow banned, and their tweets are not even coming up on Twitter. So you could see here that there is an agenda by these big social media types, and it is to push for war and not have any dissenting voices. The only people who are really standing up to this is U.S. Senator Richard Black, who is coming out and even a couple days ago said that British MI6 is planning a fake chemical weapons attack on Syria. This individual, this U.S. senator, this U.S. politician actually went to Syria to report everything that was happening on the ground there, and he's coming back and saying that MI6 is planning a fake chemical weapons attack, which of course would be a false flag attack, which of course would be blamed on Bashar al-Assad and have the United States with the UK and NATO bomb the crap out of them. Another person that deserves to be highlighted is of course Tulsi Gabbard, who is only one of the few representatives actually talking out against this and actually speaking truth. She just tweeted, "Real Donald Trump must act now and support the UN proposal to create a safe corridor that would allow civilians to evacuate the Al-Qaeda-controlled city of Idlib." Please share this urgent message. Of course, a message that I shared on my social media. But these people, Tulsi Gabbard, Senator Richard Black, do deserve credit, do deserve to be pushed out there. But of course, all the media outlets are being soft-censored or completely taken off who are pushing this message of anti-warism. And you see a direct correlation with the strings of the military-industrial complex pushing towards the same agenda, whether on social media, mainstream media, or government. They're all working in collusion, from my analysis, pushing towards a big, devastating event. And as we know, a lot of major events usually do occur around September, October, around the time right now. So it looks like they're building up for something major. What exactly it is, we don't know, but it definitely looks like war is in the forecast for everyone. That's my take on it, Jason.
Well, yeah, no, it's over, man. The war's really still going. It's not going anywhere. Any hopes of us getting out, like Donald Trump said just before the last fake chemical attack, the one that had no evidence whatsoever. And you had Mattis, our Secretary of Defense, before Congress saying, well, there may have been a chemical attack, but we're not sure about that. And then even if there was a chemical attack, we won't be able to prove that for days. And I'm just thinking to myself, this is insane. And then all of a sudden, we start bombing them. And thank God a larger global conflict didn't pop off. But now we see the same thing happen again. The last province as a stronghold is being overtaken by the Syrian military. And what happens? All of a sudden, there are reports of F-15s using phosphorus bombs. Again, we don't know this is true, but I got to tell you, I'm pretty disgusted how some of the alternative media are spinning this, Luke. If you look at this headline behind me, video, Trump kept his promise to attack Syria if Assad invaded Idlib. Well, earlier this week in the Washington Times, a unnamed source within the administration said the purpose of the Syrian conflict right now is to keep it in a quagmire until the United States gets what they want. It's not to get rid of ISIS or radical Islam or jihad. And that's the truth. They need this quagmire to do what? To get rid of Assad. And the host of the program, the person that we're sitting here defending, saying they should have free speech, and they shouldn't be deplatformed, Luke. I'm not trying to say that at all. All right? But he's up there going, oh, but if he did attack, they'd win the election. I'm just thinking out loud. Like, it would be worth a bunch of Syrian lives to attack Syria so that Republicans could win the next election. That makes me want to vomit.
Well, yeah, of course, it should make people vomit when people want to destroy and bomb other people to smithereens for absolutely no freaking reason, and not go after the enemy and empower the enemy to only create more terrorist attacks and more chaos and carnage all throughout the Western world. It makes absolutely no sense, and I feel like we're the only ones talking about this. And even the other supposed alternative media, whether it's InfoWars or Alex Jones, are like, yeah, let's play politics here. Let's start a war for an election. It's like watching Wag the Dog, but in reality, only it's not a comedic film, but a horror film that's unfolding right in front of us. And again, this is absolutely just ludicrous. Again, the strings pushing for bigger war. Not only again, they targeted Alex Jones, but they're also targeting a large number of anti-war people. They're also targeting people on the left. Well, this, of course, sets a very dangerous precedent that, of course, will take down a lot of other people who, of course, will voice their concern against this.
Well, let me just say this. First of all, it seems coordinated that all of a sudden all Syrian state media gets cut off, including Bashar al-Assad's own personal YouTube page, and then there's reports of U.S. military strikes there. That seems like a bad thing. And I'm seeing in some of the comments here, oh, I didn't read the sub-headline, Alex Jones is reporting on the crisis. No, I watched it live. What I just said, he said. I promise you. Okay, he mused about the election, said he was thinking out loud, and he's like, "Oh, I just want him to win so bad." It's almost a direct quote. Okay, and you're never gonna hear me say that it's okay to bomb innocent people so my guy gets elected. You know what that sounds like? That sounds like team sports. That sounds like the bull shenanigans that are now trending on Twitter regarding football. I don't care about football. I know I'm wearing a football shirt right here. It's a joke. It's a beer drinking shirt. I like beer a lot more than I like football, Luke. And you know what? I like kids that are alive more than I like them bombed. Just me.
Yeah. Yeah. No matter what, wherever they're from, and that's an important aspect that many people need to realize, that our foreign policy is extremely aggressive and egregious and does a lot of immoral things. And if you really care about human life, you would make that the center talking point instead of some misgendering bathroom stupid argument that really has no effect on anyone's real life. Let's get to a super chat here by Jesse Schmidt, who really hit the nail on the head here. Jesse Schmidt gave a $5 super chat, said, "Wrong. Alex Jones says Donald Trump is playing 5D chess off the record. Of course, high-level sources. Buy my boner pills. Boner potions." Thank you for that super chat, Jesse Schmidt. Directly fit into the topics that we were talking about. But again, as I've been saying all throughout our broadcast, and especially when the news broke, this is not just about Alex Jones. This is about setting the dangerous precedent of big tech monopolies who are interconnected with government and the military-industrial complex, deciding what you can and cannot see. This sets a very dangerous precedent, and it will affect all of us, and it already has in many severe ways, especially the alternative media community. Should we get through the rest of these super chats? We got another one by Avatas, who said, "Happy Sunday, folks. Baron Trump wrote the New York Times op-ed." Thank you, Avatas, for that super chat. We got another one by Zuckerman TV, who says, "Alex Jones voice, parentheses, Trump is playing 4D chess." And again, this is something that people are still entertaining, but I think they're entertaining it more because of the New York Times op-ed, which again could have been Trump pretending to be somebody that he wasn't to the media, like he has done before in his earlier career, or it could actually be something real, which is why a lot of people are entertaining the 4D chess, that there is a member of his cabinet who is trying to push him more against Russia, more for conflicts, less for a resolution, like they complained about in that New York Times op-ed.
Well, let me stop you there, because I want to talk about this op-ed quick, because we kind of talked about it, and did some videos on it, but we really don't know who did it. Both you and I, you did one on the main, I did one on the backup. I think it might be James Mattis. I think it is more of a consortium. In other words, it went through editing. I think that's where the Lodestar thing comes, because I really don't think it's Pence. I think the Pence promotion is to sow mistrust. Now, you look at a guy like Bannon, and he's talking about a coup, and he's right, but he's also still very much lobbying for Trump right now. And he's doing so by meeting with Jeffrey Epstein 3 weeks ago, Luke.
Yeah, that's a major story. Go into that story. Explain that story a little bit for the viewer who doesn't know what you're talking about, because what you said there in that little title tidbit is very significant.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's the story right here. Steve Bannon trying to get on disgraced Jeffrey Epstein's good side. And a couple weeks ago, I did a major video about this because it is important, because you have to understand that Steve Bannon is still Team Trump 110% of the way. More than likely, he was released from that administration because of all the bad press that he was getting. And at the time, Trump thought by cutting him loose, he would get a little bit better press. Obviously, we know that's not true. Plus, he gets to act like a Roger Stone-esque operative. Now, Jeffrey Epstein might finally go to court for his sexual misconduct allegations with underage women in this civil suit that's been going on almost a decade, Luke. They've set the date finally for December 4th. Whether it happens or not, we don't know. But what a lot of other people don't know is that Jeffrey Epstein, making his money, moving it around, was actually the right-hand man to the Bernie Madoff before Bernie Madoff. A man named Hoffenberg, who served 18 years, Luke, out of a 20-year sentence, and then they put him back in charge of that company, Towers International. Towers International is now suing Epstein for $476 million. This is a hard-hitting guy. This is a guy still in the business world, still having a lot of money and power. So what is Steve Bannon doing? He's trying to utilize that money and power. He doesn't care that he's a pedophile. He doesn't care that he ran the Lolita Express at all. He's trying to leverage his cash for Republicans. And I know a lot of people aren't going to want to hear that, Luke, because they want to think that QAnon is real and that white hats behind the scenes are ready to take down Epstein and the Clintons and it's all going to be okay. And we don't have to worry about it because MAGA, dude. MAGA, 4D chess. But that's not the real 4D chess. The real 4D chess, Luke, is just what I just described.
Yeah, well, we don't know exactly what was described and what was talked about in that conversation, in that kind of meeting between Bannon and Epstein. But the fact that it's being underplayed, that a lot of people aren't talking about it, is something that needs our attention and should be on a list of worries and concerns, especially for a lot of the Trump supporters out there. And they do need to be aware of this. Zucker Amaro TV asked for Alex Jones' voice, saying Trump is playing 4D chess. Jason, you're a lot better than this than I am. Can we get something here?
Luke, what you don't understand about the Syrian situation is the man is playing 4D chess while eating a McDonald's cheeseburger on the toilet while he's looking at Melania telling her that she needs to be better with Barron. He's a great father and a great president, and he does the best things ever, and I love him.
Zuckerman TV gave another $5 super chat. He says, "Bro, I was being sarcastic, but you guys are super right again. You don't anyone challenge this in MMM. Again, using our tax dollars, buy my nose pills." Okay, thank you there. Zuckerman. We got another super chat by Tapa Pirafa from Mexico. Gave us 50 pesos. Thank you so much for the 50 pesos. Luke, maybe you're not a specialist in this, but what do you think will be Mexico's situation with the elected president, Andres Manuel? Well, I was just in Mexico just a few weeks ago, about 3 weeks ago. The current situation is always very, very unstable. The government is not really as effective in Mexico. It's going to be very difficult for Andres to get anything done. There's many states within Mexico that just don't pay any taxes at all, that just don't comply with government officials at all. He does have very ambitious goals. He is kind of been described as the Bernie Sanders. We will see how it will play out. It's definitely going to become a lot more interesting, but I think a lot less effective than people are expecting with Andreas and what he stands for and what he could actually do. I'm actually going to go back to Mexico later on this month as well, and I'm going to be I should probably do a very specific report on the new Mexican president and what differences will take place in Mexico and what people are expecting down there. But again, Mexico is a very free state. The government has very little effect down there, and it'll be something interesting to investigate that I will promise to investigate later. All right, I think that's all the super chats for now. Jason, do you want to get into the story Monday that we have that you selected that you think people should know about?
Yeah, I do, but you know what? We didn't get into what we were going to talk about with Kaepernick. You know, I did a small video on the backup channel. I think because football's trending, because so many people love it, because so many people have such a hardened opinion on this matter, Luke, I'd like to get yours and maybe talk about that and talk about it with the audience in the chat, because boy, you could really piss somebody off by taking a knee at a game with a ball and a bunch of cheerleaders on the side. I mean, it's pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I don't give a damn if someone takes a knee or doesn't take a knee. I don't think that should be the issue at all. My bigger issue is Nike, a big mega corporation that uses foreign labor and marks up the price of gear and creates this culture of FOMO unless you have the latest Nikes. I think them marketing activism really leaves a bad taste in my mouth and should leave a bad taste in everyone's mouth because they don't give a damn about activism. They give a damn about making money, and they're sure as hell making a lot of money right now because of the fake controversy that they stirred up by doing this little political move that they did. Not a fan of Nike, not a fan of their corporation, not a fan of everything that they do. Don't wear them. I hate logos, hate the Nike logo. As a kid, I remember just kids being stupid, being like, "Oh, you don't have the latest Nikes, you're not cool." And I was like, and as a kid, I bought into it because I was playing basketball. But looking back at it, like, you're just buying overpriced piece of plastic on your shoes that some person in a far-off foreign land got after they were working 70, 80 hours a week for pennies on the dollar. So to me, them turning activism and saying that they're the moral authority. That's just bullcrap. They're just trying to make money, and they are. And I wish people were more wise to that and more hip to that instead of buying in to this bipartisan, emotional, hyperbolic propaganda that's being pushed on everyone. That's my personal take on it.
Well,
What is FOMO? People are asking. FOMO is like fear of missing out.
Yeah, it's what the
It's
millennials are talking about, and Luke is still hanging on to that millennial mode. I hate the term FOMO. I hate Snapchat. I hate everything to do with it. I've never had a fear of missing out on anything because of social media. Anyway, let me say this, Luke. You hit it spot on the head. Nike did this to make money. It was pretty obvious. They knew this would be controversial. They got $43 million in free advertising on the first day, Luke. The first day. Right now, their internet sales are up 30+%. And it's only the second day the commercial's been out. Okay, they put a poster up. They got $43 million free in advertising. You think they gave Colin Kaepernick $43 million for this? Let me tell you something. They didn't. They knew they were going to make money. Now, Colin Kaepernick himself, the idea of kneeling in the flag, as we know, they didn't even have the players come out for the national anthem until 2009. We know that football heavily promotes the military. A lot of kids love football. A lot of 18
and our tax dollars go to that.
Yeah, a lot of 18-year-olds watch the football, and they're Johnny quarterback at the D League in high school, and they think they're going to go pro, and then you know what? They don't even make the college squad, so they decide to go into the military and play Army. And, that's the sell. Number two, let me say this about Kaepernick. If it were just about police brutality, I'm with him all day. Like the Eric Garner issue, for instance, that was a real issue. In fact, I did a small video about this. There's a man who's tasered 10 times by three officers are there. One man doing most of the tasing. He died. He didn't make it. There was no reason to tase him 10 times. He was topless. He didn't have shoes on. He was obviously incoherent. He had no weapons on him. And he's a dead man. That's police brutality. That needs to be addressed. It had nothing to do with race. The minute you turn it into a racial issue, as the Garners refused to do, both Eric Garner's wife and his late daughter, who passed away recently, then you stop unifying people. Okay, you unify people.
His daughter even talked about Al Sharpton trying to manipulate the situation to make it more of a race issue, which she said she turned down.
That's right. That's right. And they stopped getting press right after that, because the truth is the mainstream does not want to unite us. And unfortunately, I think that Kaepernick, although thinks he's doing the right thing, he is being divisive, and he had an opportunity to bring everybody together. Don't make it about Black Lives Matter, because yes, of course Black Lives Matter, but not every cop is a bad person. Not every white guy is a racist. And as soon as you divide the culture, you're just asking for trouble. And you're stomping on that flag, boy. I don't like you. I'm burning my Nikes. You don't like it? You can get out. These colors don't run, Luke. These colors don't run. F that swoosh, boy. F it.
Well, my favorite part is seeing patriots wear American flag bikinis or underwear. And I'm like, if you really care about respect for the flag, you wouldn't be putting it so close up to your buttocks and your bunghole if you really do care about that. And those are usually people who are screaming. And I'm like, choose what you why be outraged? Why be angry over something so minuscule? If someone wants to be an idiot, let him be an idiot, but don't empower them with your reaction. And you're only giving them more power and strength, like we are seeing through this whole bullcrap Nike controversy, which again is meant towards dividing, conquering us, hating each other, making white against black, black against white, and separating us instead of bringing us together. And again, it's all engineered, it's all manufactured. Some people say it's done because of a monetary incentive, which is partly true. But I believe, of course, that there's a bigger agenda out there to spread us apart as much as we can so we don't realize what's really happening in this world while the big real criminals rob us blind. So that to me is exactly what's happening. We got a super chat by Matvelovich. He says, because better you than Nike. I don't know what you meant by that, Matt V.
Better us getting the cash than Nike. I appreciate that, sir. Every little bit helps.
I'll take a Nike deal. I don't care what check Nike would bring to me. I would no. And it should be said something about Colin taking money from Nike as well. I mean, I don't know. It just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Them just pushing activism when in reality we deep down know they all only care about their profits. That should be something that, and I saw even like Jim Carrey play
Yeah.
into this. Jim Carrey on the Bill Maher show put his shoes up. And like, I got my Nikes. So very nice. Thank you, Nike, big multinational corporation. Yeah, they're freaking awesome. It's just absolute idiots. Absolute idiots. Just promoting multinational corporations. It's stupid. We got another super chat by Zuckerman TV. Y'all need some shoe deals. The honest Luke 5000s. There'll definitely be running shoes. Running away from all the bull crap that happens all throughout this world. And what kind of shoes would we have? What would be the WeAreChange Jason Bermas shoe?
I would
What
hope
kind
I
of-
got an Adidas one. I mean, who knows? They're all terrible. The Converse, I like them a little bit. I don't know, man.
Mine
You
would
know
have
what?
Mine would have a police handcuff key attached to the shoelaces that you could take off and uncuff yourself at any time.
So you
what
need the
else?
zip key, like the kangaroo. You need the ruse, the hidden compartment where you
There's,
could
like,
have a
police,
little key.
There's like little police handcuff keys everywhere, and then you can put it into different places. Just a heads up if people want to know that you can buy them on eBay. Don't go on Amazon. Amazon's the evil corporation. eBay's a little bit better in their horribleness. But whatever. Moving on. James P. Unemployment. This is a $5 super chat. Unemployment is so low under Trump, even Colin Kaepernick got a job. Thank you, James P. for that super chat and all the puns. Super chats are on fire this day.
Yeah, they're
People
not
are
bad.
really,
Hey, by the way, Luke, let's say thank you to Blair McLaughlin, who actually became a member. Hit the join button. It's $4.99 a month. We notice you in the chat. You get the badge. You get the emojis. We're gonna have some more incentives for you, I promise. And the more of these subscribers we get, the longer this operation can run, because let me tell you, the deplatforming is real, folks. And I know we talked
it's
about
not only deplatforming, it's censoring and limiting the views. The revolution will not be in your timeline. The timeline is pre-selected for you for what they want you to see. And when we're talking about them, we're talking about the big social media tech monopolies and all the entities that are interlocked within all of them. That is the mainstream media. That is the U.S. government. That is special multinational corporate interests that they serve. They don't serve you. You're not seeing what you're subscribed to. You're seeing what they want you to see. And of course, anything contradictory that threatens their power monopoly, that threatens them and the strings that are attached to them, especially the U.S. government with how they comply with each other, bam, they're going to make sure that you don't have an audience at all. And that's what they're doing. And they're doing it in many different ways, not just with outright deplatforming, but also with outright making sure people don't see your stuff in the timeline, making sure people who are subscribed to you don't even get a notification. Like, I've been getting hundreds of messages here all on my YouTube channel being like, I was subscribed to you. Somehow I was unsubscribed. I clicked the notification button. I'm not getting any notifications. But of course, they're not doing it blanketly all over. They're doing it selectively to a few people. So you may get a notification, you may not get a notification. But what they're doing is really just egregious. They said that they're customizing. Again, in the days, it was pure and simple. I subscribe to this YouTube channel. Oh, they released a video at this time. I get to actually see their video. Nope, you don't have that at all. On the front page of YouTube, you see videos that you're not even subscribed to. You see suggested videos that they want to push on you. And of course, what they're pushing is mainstream media garbage with all their partnership and exclusive deals with Anderson frickin' CIA Cooper, always there on the recommended suggested videos, not real alternative media that doesn't have any other strings attached to war towards enslaving humanity, dividing, conquering humanity, and destroying the sanctity of life that these bungholes are after because they only care about themselves. So yeah, all right, that's my take on that. Another super chat here by Pizzagate Israel. That's 504. That's a interesting username. What do you say about the destruction of southern monuments? Really didn't really investigate that. Really don't have an opinion on that because yeah,
it's
okay,
an easy
go
one,
ahead.
man. It's real simple. We shouldn't have to hide away from our history, right? But at the same time, I get why people don't want people that had slaves as monuments. And if you remember, Charlottesville was really started over this, a protest of taking down a monument. Now, if we are going to do such things, which I am not saying, hey, eventually, we are progressing as a society. They're not going to stay there forever. Okay, I promise you that. Why don't they belong in a museum? Okay, why can't we civilly do this? If we're going to take them down, put them somewhere where they can be looked at from where they were originally, obviously be accompanied by some pictures or some films, and have the history there. Is that bad? Is that bad to be able to confront our demons and preserve our history? I think that's the answer. Maybe I'm crazy, Luke. I don't know.
Well, the argument gets very convoluted. There's many different stances on this. Some of the arguments I heard on the left. Again, I didn't do full research on this, so again, I'm not the expert on this. But people on the left are saying that these statues were erected after civil rights, predominantly to be symbolic gesture of oppression. The people on the right are saying it's our heritage, it's our culture. To me, let the communities decide. This is the problem with governments. Governments deciding for people what is right is not the right way. It should be done through a horizontal power structure with people in local communities deciding what they want for themselves. I think if we all enabled ourselves and empowered ourselves with that ability to discern decisions for ourselves instead of giving it to big daddy government and allowing government to do everything for us, things would be a lot peaceful because the community could do whatever they wanted and have whatever statues they wanted in their community through a community process. But no, we have governments coming in and people are triggered and people are angry over, symbolic representations of stuff. And again, it's only symbolic and whatever. I just saw it as a big dumb issue and not important enough for to galvanize more research into it, to be completely honest with you. Got another super chat by Superman TV. He says, need to get Jason to Anarchapulco 2019. Yeah, man, you definitely should come to Anarchapulco 2019. It's definitely going to be wild and crazy and pretty. I love the event. This year's event is building up to a really, really huge one. But we'll figure that out. We'll talk about that later. We're also doing a promo code, giving people 10% off tickets to Anarchapulco with the promo code WRC. So if you want to save 10% off your tickets, use the promo code WRC. We got Jesse Schmidt saying another $5 super chat. Where should we invest our money for the next few months? Crypto, silver, or pot stocks? Jesse, that's a very interesting question. I'm going to take this one, Jason, unless you have something to say about this issue. But to me, diversifying is extremely important. Definitely not a financial guru or expert, but I think offsetting some of your money towards alternative investments is definitely the wise, smart move to make, especially when it comes to silver, to gold, to crypto, and penny stocks and alternative stocks, especially in industries that are sure to boom. Marijuana, alternative energies, even though government stays in the way of a lot of those, do see a lot of promising futures. Whether short term, it's more unlikely, but longer term, that makes more sense. But I would just diversify your assets as much as you can. And to me, that's really the safest thing you could do in this kind of economic, turbulent, fake debt bubble that we're all in, because your dollars just sitting there lose its value because they're just sitting there. If you have your dollars underneath the mattress, literally you are losing money because of the devaluation of the U.S. dollar that is continuing. You look at what you were able to buy at the grocery store a few years ago with the same amount of money to what you're buying now. There's a big difference. And that difference is only going to be expedited and only going to be continued. So that's my take on it, Jesse. Any comments on that, Jason?
I mean, I would just say this, like, number one, if you're going in cryptocurrency or any kind of stock market, be ready for it to be volatile. So I don't really know what to tell you to do for the next few months, but silver is a pretty steady horse. I think in the 10, 15 years I've been following it, the lowest dip was down to 12. The highest dip was almost up to 30. So it's kept a pretty steady pace. It never ends up, going up or down too rapidly. So if you're looking to just keep your money, obviously silver. If you're looking to take a little bit more of a gamble, overall the cryptocurrency market's been down the last 6 months. We haven't ever seen it be down for 12, but that's just a guess because that is a roller coaster. I mean, that's day to day, week to week, the crypto market. Nobody knows that better than you, Luke.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely unpredictable. I always tell people invest what you're willing to lose in the crypto market because you could lose everything in just a day. And also the fact of Amazon working to break algorithms and working to break encryption, with them openly trying to have contracts with the government to help the government find people who use cryptocurrencies. It's such a turbulent and volatile market. Again, invest what you're willing to lose. All right, Jason, let's get to Monday. We're already 45 minutes into this podcast. We still never got into Monday. What happened Monday? What article did you select for this week's podcast?
Well, right here, I want to show this to people. This is a tweet from DARPA themselves, all right? And if you don't know what DARPA is, they're the military programs behind a lot of the projects that you don't get to see, but they're giving you a little insight into this one. And for the WeAreChange channel, I would say about a year, maybe even a year and a half ago now, one of the first videos I did was on the DARPA brain chip development. And they tweeted this out this week, and I'm going to show the accompanying website page that lets you have a little bit better knowledge of this. But the trajectory of neurotechnology panel represents DARPA's past, present, future in brain interface. Okay, on the left, you're seeing something occasionally light up. And then on the right, you're seeing something very, very lit up. Simply demonstrated here, we're already at a point where implanted closed-loop sensor systems can mitigate effects on neuropsychological illness. They're talking about actual brain implants. That's what this interface is, and towards a high-resolution, implantable neural interface. And when I did that story 18 months ago, probably, Luke, they already had it so that, first of all, the military, this is a military program, and they had readout displays much like an old school alarm clock. So small LED displays on top of what you were seeing through a brain chip. We are much further along, and this is not science fiction. This is where we are in 2018. The question is, will this be largely available to the public, and is this, the very next and very dangerous step in transhumanism? What do you think?
Well, isn't this something that Elon Musk discussed on Joe Rogan and similar stuff that he's talking about as well? And it's also important to note here that the level of technological innovation is of course, mainly hidden from the American public and the public of the world, and that they're working on far more advanced technologies than we could even comprehend right now, to be completely honest, in the back scenes.
Well, not only that, Luke, I might as well just follow it up with this next story, which again, remember, this is the defense industry. This is DARPA. This is dangerous, in my opinion, a lot of other people's opinion. Yes, Elon Musk is warning against artificial intelligence, against the merging of the human being with computers, but he has his own Neuralink thing coming out. In fact, I should have put that story up here too, because that was a big story I put out today, where he's about to, he's saying basically for us to have a chance, this technology lets our brains interface with computers. But our brains interfacing with computers? Check this out. It's now possible to telepathically communicate with a drone swarm. And this is another DARPA project right here. It is pretty incredible. A person with a brain chip can now pilot a swarm of drones or even advanced fighter jets thanks to research funded by the U.S. military's Defense Advanced Research Project Agency, or DARPA. This is research from 2015, Luke, and now with a brain implant, you can literally control an armed drone, an armed military drone. It sounds like a bad episode of The Twilight Zone, and no, it's reality here in 2018.
And Black Mirror, that dedicated an entire episode to deadly drone swarms. Interestingly enough, just a few days ago, last week, when I was at Burning Man, I actually saw a drone swarm. One of the art installations that people were working on for the last few years was to have hundreds of drones who all go into the sky in the middle of the night and create a big art show. I was there at Burning Man when they premiered it, and it was mind-blowing. It was fascinating and scary at the same time, because I understand the greater implications behind all of this. It's no surprise that DARPA is working on this, but we are far more along in this technological advancements than a lot of people know and understand. And this is already being used, of course, as art. And again, I was there at Burning Man. They did it by the trash fence. They had this huge building that was very wide, and you're standing there, and then all out of nowhere in the middle of the night, uh, when you were far away, you think that they were fireworks, but they were slowly moving fireworks. And all these drones with all these synchronized lights and synchronized movements were creating these patterns and these movements, hundreds of them. That was absolutely mind blowing. This was used for the purpose of art, and that's why it was fascinating. That's why it was beautiful to see. But at the same time, this could also be used for the possibility of hurting and killing other people, which is why it was also absolutely terrifying. But I shot a little bit of video of it, but absolutely something that I have never seen in my life. Just imagine hundreds of drones coming out of the sky, going dark and then lighting up and synchronizing their movements and their lights together to create a light show for you hundreds of feet up in the air. Again, just mind-blowing stuff. But we're far more advanced in that trajectory than we actually know and comprehend. And it's beautiful when it's used for art, but you could bet your bottom dollar there's sinister people out there who are going to be using it for sinister purposes, to say the least.
And you know,
let's get...
Luke,
Yeah.
by the way, I saw that. I watched actually right before the broadcast. I watched like a 4 minute of Burning Man video because, you know, I've never been there or whatever. And I was watching this cut and I'm like, those are really weird moving fireworks. I'm like, how is it doing that? Because it was a far shot. So as you told me that, it kind of clicked that those were drones. You would never know. It was literally almost like a laser air light show without the lasers. It had the points of light. And they were already moving in such a synchronistic manner. It was pretty frightening, my man. And yeah, now, you know,
frightening frightening and beautiful, with many people being like, are these is this the drugs or is this real life? What's happening here? That's how insane it was to experience for a lot of people who were there. Hold on, we got one more super chat by Pizzagate Israel 504, who's asking on the comment section if we could get to, unless you want to finish off this topic, Jason.
No. We can hit that. Go ahead.
Pizzagate Israel 504, very creative username there. Give a $5 super chat. He says, "Wonder what y'all say when they start destroying monuments in D.C. This is only the beginning, being pushed by Marxists." You have a response to that, Jason?
I mean, that's why I'm with him with the fact that, again, some of these things in other communities, if they want to take them down, hey man, you can't just force people. Unfortunately, listen, I'll tell you what. Let me give you an example. The college that I went to, my alma mater, if you will, SUNY Oneonta. This year, it's not Columbus Day. It's literally on their calendar as Indigenous Peoples Day. You can't stop progress, and I don't want that to end up being, them chiseling out faces in Mount Rushmore so that we can look at modern leaders. And I see the problems with us taking down something like the Washington Monument and the Lincoln Memorial. I get it. It is a slippery slope. But at the same time, society is going to move on. And I think that we need to do so in a civil manner. So let the people decide. But at the same time, I don't think that mob justice and just the destruction is the answer. You're again, just going to foment anger, violence, and division by doing it that way. That's my opinion, Luke.
Yeah, we're arguing over pieces of metal and plastic, and in reality, again, there's so many different ways that you could go with this. There's so many ways that people are triggered by this, but why is this now such a big issue? When to me, there's a lot more important issues out there that do deserve our attention. We got Melissa Romoni, who is saying destroying the monuments is a way for people to avoid facing our collective shadow. Then Jesse Smith has another $5 super chat. He says, get rid of all the monuments in D.C., especially when we all come to terms with the fact government was and is a bad idea. I'm kind of more aligning with Jesse here. To be honest. You wanna,
See, I'm not, because again, I live in a place called reality, Luke, and I don't believe, again, no matter what institution runs human beings, whenever they become powerful, I'm going to say it a million times, guys, whether it's government, whether it's the church, whether it's a big business, they all get effing corrupt, all right? And I would say that our forefathers created a system where the people did have a voice. There was checks and balance. It wasn't perfect, but they had amendments within that system to try to make it better. So yes, I do admire for them for that. The only thing I would say about the monuments in D.C. that I don't like is, yes, they are very occultic and Masonic in nature. I've been to the George Washington Memorial, and it is as Masonic as it gets. Yeah. Yes. No. Well, I've been. Let me just say this. It's pretty incredible. Me and Aaron Dykes years ago went in there and got some incredible footage. And I would hate to lose that history, just like I would hate to lose the history of the statues that tell of our 1700s, our 1800s. See, I do respect a constitutional republic. I am not by any means an anarchist, and that's where me and Luke differ greatly.
Yeah, I'm definitely with Jesse with the super chat. I think you're definitely with Melissa on her super chat. Jesse gave another $5 one saying we can move the monuments to Jason's house for Valentine's Day. I agree, Jesse. That's a great move. We should do a whitehouse.gov petition. Send all of the monuments to Jason's house. All right, what is Wednesday's or Tuesday's story?
You got it. It is African leaders leave Beijing giving $60 billion, and they call this the hailing a New World Order investment, a very different type of New World Order, into Africa. And we know that now Africa is saying that they're not going to reappropriate the land. There's a lot of and you know what I don't like about that? You know, we did a story on what was going on in the South African farms, and it is very real. The reappropriation of land without compensation is very real. The murder of some of these peoples is very real, whether they want to tell you it is or not. And apparently, after this deal was made with China, they pulled back and said that they are not going to reappropriate that land, which is a positive sign. But obviously, this is a huge power play for China to ally itself with South Africa.
Yeah, there's another article here that I wanted to point out that I didn't get to send to you, but it's an article saying, is Zambia's Africa's first casualty in China's takeover after defaulting on loan repayment? And China's involvement in Africa is very, very significant. When I was in Africa, in Nigeria especially, I was talking to a lot of the locals, and they're like, the colonizers are back, but this time they're Chinese. And there was Chinese officials and Chinese businessmen all over Kenya, all over the hotels there, all over the casinos there. And they have a much significant presence than we actually realize. And they're definitely taking full advantage. I mean, so is the United States, but China more, especially in their African countries. And it's very interesting, this kind of battle of resources that's happening right now. Obviously, China has a very huge population, has a very huge need and demand for raw national resources. China's definitely taken full advantage of that by going into Africa, which will become a bigger issue moving forward in the oncoming kind of resource battle and world hegemony battle that's happening between the United States and China. All right, moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely, Luke. And this is another really big story. Yeah, that's right. New York subpoenas every single Catholic diocese in the state of New York to investigate potential child sexual abuse cover-ups. And we know the hammer has come down recently in Pennsylvania. We know more and more people are learning the truth about what went on in Chile. My question to you, Luke, is when are we finally going to send the troops to the Vatican and demand, as we would in this country with a warrant, all the documentation on these monsters so we can finally federally prosecute them for sexually abusing children and trafficking them on an international level for not only decades, but for what appears to be centuries? That's my question.
And Jason, covering it up and hiding the trails of all their illicit, illegal, horrible behavior. This is another aspect of it. The cover-up is very important. The Pope, right? The Pope has so many frickin' opinions on so many different issues, whether it's American nationalism, immigration, refugees. He spews so many different ideas out there that he supposedly represents. But when it comes to this issue, when he was asked about this, completely silent, no comment from the frickin' Pope about all of these insane, egregious allegations and known victims that have come out time and time and time again. If there's ever an institution to protest, I mean, screw Nike. There should have been a bigger outrage with the Catholic Church and all the horrible things that they're doing and all the money that they're also spending on covering up and paying off their victims. A lot of that donation money that they're getting, they're taking that and they're spending it from covering up the worst human atrocities that people could commit. And that's absolutely sickening. And this is a step in the right direction. But again, just like all the other mass big criminal organizations, they're able to get away with it because of their power and influence. And that's something that shouldn't stand. And the only thing standing in the way is the people's outrage. And that's why we're socially contrived to be mad about slave-made little $2 shoes that are bought for $200 rather than criminal pedophile organizations that run rampantly and or have been able to get away with these horrible crimes. So again, this is just another example of just selective outrage and how people are just squashing this down. This is an issue. The child rape that is enabled in Afghanistan, that U.S. soldiers are speaking out against and are getting punished, is another one. There's so many horrible, illicit things happening, and they're only happening because of big power and big institutions, predominantly. And that's why I'm always against big institutions. I'm always against big power. I'm always against big government, because there's always going to be big corruption and big horrible events like this unfolding because of it. Moving forward.
Yep. And this one, goes back to the Russiagate. George Papadopoulos, the man behind the nod. Yes, that's right. Trump apparently nodded to a meeting in the Kremlin. He's going to meet with Poot, according to Papadopoulos. So the songbird only gets 14 days in jail. Does this not reek of corruption? The man that they followed, arrested first, said he was in some kind of a Russian collusion meeting, the Imagination Land meeting, says that Trump nodded when somebody suggested a meeting with Putin, and he gets 2 weeks in jail. I mean, this is some...
What did he actually go down for?
What it was some kind of a corruption charge. It was something absolutely. I think he lied. They said he lied under it was basically he lied to them, and that's how they indicted him. And instead of playing hardball with him, Luke, because he said that Trumpski was ready to poot his way into a meeting by nodding, because Trump wouldn't actually verbalize, yes, I'd like to meet Vladimir. And I wouldn't go that far. Or someone say to him, hey, I think that we can set this meeting up with Putin. Would you like to do it? Instead of him saying, yes, I would, he went. He gave him Joey from friggin' Friends. How you doing? Yeah. I mean, come on, man. It's comical. It's like comic book stuff.
Is Friday's story related to this? I'm looking at Friday's story right now.
It's only related in the Russian aspect. And actually, this isn't. This is Saturday's story, and then we got one more, which is from today. But yeah, it is kind of related to this, because the Russian spy, remember this one? She was the Red Sparrow. She's going around just banging every dude to get into every organization, including the NRA. And now the prosecutors are like, well, she may not have offered sex for the job. Now, I'm not saying that this woman's not connected to Russia. I don't know enough about the case. But the way they spun this in the media is that the Russians had infiltrated the Republican Party. They had infiltrated the NRA, and this girl was like the next. What's Putin's mistress that got Anna Chapman? Remember Anna Chapman? She was the next red-headed bombshell that was taking everybody down. And that is a real scandal. Anna Chapman and other real spies were traded in a deal to Poot under, I believe, was it the Bush administration or the Obama administration? We should look that up. Because if it was the Obama administration, that's a point no one's brought up at all. Let's see how Anna Chapman got out. Let's do a little Google. Yeah. You remember Anna Chapman, right? I
have absolutely no idea.
Really? Because you know who they sent her after she was the Poot mistress when she came home? They sent her into Edward Snowden territory. She started hanging out with Snowden. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
So let's go to the Wikipedia page on Anna Chapman. We'll bring it over here for everybody to look at so we can read along. She's the big spy. New York, 2009 to 2010. Yes, so she was released under the Obama administration. That's where the trade went for the real Russian spy. This is a real story. This is well known. And no one is saying Obama betrayed the country. She actually infiltrated things. I mean, that's how crazy 2018 is. I keep saying this because I really think we're going to look back at this year, this period in time, and we're just going to be like, how the hell did we fall for this bullschniz, McCarthyism, fear-mongering while we were taking over the Middle East neocon nonsense?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, Jason. You definitely hit the nail on the head on that one. And it's ridiculous. This year is already turning, like it's already September. Time's just flying by, and it seems like it was just January. It just started a few weeks ago. But with all the madness and craziness happening, it just like it's accelerating on such an extreme level. I mean, this is the year of censorship. This is the year of the big tech monopolies and special interests taking over free speech on the online marketplace. This is a very significant year. This is the year whether real freedom of speech will fall or die. And a big aspect of this propaganda is, of course, the whole Russia fear-mongering. Is, of course, establishment figures within Washington, D.C. trying to push for a bigger conflict, a bigger war, a bigger boogeyman. They always need a boogeyman. They always need someone to hate, someone to vilify, someone to discourage Americans against in order to have them go along with the egregious power grabs and more enslavement of our human life. And that's exactly what they're doing. That's exactly what they're doing here with the whole Russia fake news, them going after all the propagators of allegedly fake news, even though they've been caught lying so many frickin' times. And then they're squashing everyone down who is speaking out against them because of all of this. It started all because of this. And it's a very, very important aspect of it that does need to be rationally, slowly explained to people. Because, again, I don't understand anyone buying this story. And if you are, there's a bridge that Jason wants to sell you here in New York City. All right. Last story for Sunday is a story that we covered, but let's just get into it really quickly, Jason.
Yeah, Syrian state YouTube channels terminated amid fears of looming false flag chemical attack. And again, you've got Nikki Haley on television predicting the chemical attack. You have a state senator going over, talking to Bashir al-Assad, saying that MI6 is going to stage a chemical attack. The day after they suspend all these Syrian stations, after the conflict has already risen up to the level of bombing by Russia, military action by Syria in Idlib, it seems like the U.S. strikes with military force. Now, these are unconfirmed, but if they used white phosphorus, that could be part of the propaganda trick. The bottom line is we don't really know because there's no media there that's going to be able to cover it and get here. You know, it's going to be a slower flow of information, and I feel like this pattern is going to continue, not just against military targets, but again, political dissidents like WeAreChange, people that are anti-war, and that's why this is extremely dangerous. Remember, these people in Syria that are being bombed, they should have a voice, and they have none through the Google mega corporation YouTube, some public square, Luke.
Yeah, and this really just epitomizes and shows you that this purging, this deletion that's all happening, it's pretty much happening because of a bigger goal for more war and more conflict, and the powers that be losing the public discourse and trying to gaining back by force by shutting down every alternative out there, everyone speaking out against them. And again, all governments lie. The Syrian government lies, the Russian government lies, the U.S. government lies, all of them lie. But it's important to get all of the aspects, the whole story, fully to see where the middle ground actually lays. And now you can't do that with the Syrian state. You can't do that with the Syrian government because, again, they're just totally blocked on YouTube, totally deleted, which shows you how just selective this enforcement is and who's really pulling the strings behind all of this and what their agenda actually is. And their agenda is war. And if you stand against war, stand against destruction, stand against the divide and conquer, stand against their agenda that they have against all of us, bam, you're on their list. You're going to get screwed. And that's why this YouTube channel that you're watching was one of the first channels out there to get demonetized. That's why we're getting screwed left and right. That's why people who interview me, people like on their YouTube channels, we're getting automatically demonetized because they put my name into the description or tags. They got rid of my name in the description and tags. Oh, the video's put up for review. Oh, yeah, you're fine. You're totally good now. This total amount of bull crap happening right now is absolute egregious, but people need to be left and understood that independent media can only survive because of you sharing, you donating, you buying some of the merchandise, keeping us independent, allowing us to be here. You guys are more important than ever. And they're trying to prevent us from talking to each other. They're trying to prevent us and our message from getting across there. You sharing helps prevent some of that. But the big monstrable effect that's happening is very apparent, especially if you look at the numbers that we've been getting on this YouTube channel. I've been working my butt off within the last few days, and they're atrocious compared to what we just had years ago. And again, I do fault myself in some of that. I do try to work. I always try to improve myself. I always try to do the best work that I possibly can. I'm always very hard on myself when it comes to this type of work and trying to improve it and trying to make it better. But there is an aspect of this that we are getting screwed. The numbers just don't lie. Look what happened to PragerU. Look what's happening to all these other people who have clear principles, who have a clear voice. They're getting screwed by the algorithm. We were averaging 50,000 to 100,000 views per video, and we used to release them sporadically. And now we're doing it every day, and now we're busting our butts, and we're doing everything that the algorithm wants us to do, and we're still getting 10,000 hits when we have over 500,000 subscribers. And again, it's just atrocious what's happening. It's only going to get worse from here. Everyone needs to understand the revolution will not be in your timeline. I keep saying that. Anything that the system doesn't want you to see that threatens them and their power will not be in your timeline. You will not see it. We got two more super chats, Jason, that I want to get into. Another one by Zuckerman TV. He says, we need to get Jason talking to Larkin Rose. I agree with that, Zuckeramaru TV. Jason, you debate Larkin Rose, and I will debate someone that you select for me.
Okay, any day that I'll debate anybody. You know I will. I don't care.
Do you know who Larkin Rose is?
I looked him up when I saw the thing. He doesn't look familiar to me, but he looks like a pretty big anti-government, pro-anarchy guy. Okay.
He looks a little bit like Ron Swanson. He's pretty much the philosophical epitome of Ron Swanson, but more of a nerd. Like if Ron Swanson was a total nerd. That would be Larkin Rose.
Okay. Yeah, bring it
on.
Gonna be
there.
I'm all about it.
He's there at Anarchapulco. I think it'll be interesting to see a debate between you and him. I would be the ref. I would be very biased.
Yeah.
I'd be like, yes, I agree, Larkin. Jason, I disagree. Keep going. I'd definitely be an unfair observer. And then we could switch seats, and then you could have me debate somebody.
I feel like if we go to Anarchapulco together, there's not going to be many people that are taking my position. I don't know, but I'm just saying. I'd get egged there. I feel like I would be the guy in the water pit where people were throwing balls.
No, it's not Antifa anarchist. It's another form of anarchy. They're more philosophical. They're more nerds. They're more of just the let live kind of people. I doubt anyone would throw anything at you. There would be a lot of verbal jousting and verbal
jousting, huh?
Verbal jujitsu.
I feel there would be a lot of beard stroking there. I feel like there'd be a lot of beard stroking.
There's a bearded crowd. There's the bearded old man, beer belly, white man crowd. They're pretty popular with that too. But hey. It's interesting. You have a whole bunch of people there. You got a bunch of hippies there too. A whole bunch of just all sorts of people from all different kinds of life that shock you and surprise you that are there. But a lot of bearded people and a lot of hippies, predominantly. Yeah. Who should I debate?
I don't know who I would have you debate there. I mean, I'm trying to think if there's anybody there that, I mean, obviously David Icke
not
is
there,
interesting.
But just
who would I have you debate that's a pro-government guy? Oh,
yeah.
I mean, I would
Secular
think.
Talk, I think, would be good. I got to reach out to them. I mean, we're like DMing lightly on Twitter, but
Oh,
it's
a
like
little light
difficult.
DMing, huh? Oh, that's cute.
A light DMing, just slowly sliding into the DM
Talk about millennial
uh,
terms. Huh? There's a little
of
light DMing the other.
of Secular Talk and Jimmy Dore, uh, sliding slowly into their DMs, talking to them lightly. But again, it's very difficult to nail people down to actually do something because we're all so freaking busy. Um, like I'm busy. I'm horrible with interviews. I was supposed to have one with James Corbett a couple weeks ago. Totally missed that one. Totally messed that one up. Debate TYT. Yeah, of course. I would love
Any
to
day of the
debate
week.
them.
Oh my God, please.
They would never do a debate. I highly doubt that they would.
They're
You
too
probably agree
pro-war
with that.
now. They're too pro-war. They're too. Oh, we got to
Are
get
they
Assad out of there. Yeah, they're all that bullshit. They're all about getting Alex Jones off there. It's hate speech, and he's inciting violence. They're not talking about anything relevant with the Podesta emails. I'm sorry, guys. I just can't do it. I can't do it. You want to read these last two super chats?
Yeah, we got one by Mana Talk, and he says, Luke and Jason, great work. We support WRC. Well, thank you so much, Mana Talk. Thank you so much for that $4 super chat that allows us to actually be here and be fully independent. Without you dudes and chicks and people out there, like, we wouldn't be here. So appreciate everything and all the support that we get. Another one by Jesse Schmidt. Who would be more annoying to sit by on the flight to Anarchapulco? Mark Levin or Ben Shapiro?
That's easy.
I would say Ben
100
Ben
times
Shapiro
over.
Ben Shapiro wouldn't be that annoying because you get a lot of leg room and a lot of movement room in the airplane seat. His voice is kind of funny too. And it would be fun to kind of talking to him. So I would definitely say Ben Shapiro would be less annoying.
I'm totally and the opposite of that. Not that I like either of them in particular, unless the Ben Shapiro would be willing to debate me live on the flight. Like we could just record it if we couldn't Wi-Fi it. If there was no Wi-Fi to broadcast it, we could just record it and we do it. That'd be great. Otherwise, I don't want to be near Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro is so whiny and weird, and I feel like he would be complaining. I feel like Mark Levin is old enough where he gets one of those weird airport pillows, puts it around his neck, takes off his glasses, and goes to bed. He's an easy flight sit. Easy.
We got a lot of room there with Ben there. I just bought one of those like hug pillows that you like are inflatable. That you get to put your arms in, put your head in there. I'm really excited to test that bad boy out. Again, the flights are perfect for me to get sleep. Like, they're the best resting opportunities that I have, and I've taken full advantage of it. So, been through a lot of flights recently. Even just getting back from Burning Man, I had to go through Reno to Denver to Austin, from Austin to New York after not sleeping the night before. So yeah, sleep is more important than we actually understand. I'm still trying to decompress from Burning Man. It's not easy, Jason. Coming back to this political discourse, coming back to all the latest things that are happening here politically, to how society is run, especially here in New York City, the poop hole that it is. It's been a little bit difficult, man.
Yeah, I've noticed that you've been sleeping in a little bit, maybe not feeling the best, but then I figured, you were in the desert for a week, and I can't imagine what that's like. I don't like
for like
sand
11,
to begin
12
with.
days.
Yeah, exactly. I can't imagine. Like, people don't understand. Just being in that air, being in that environment, that's going to dehydrate you, that's going to get you in a certain rhythm, and then I have no idea what it's like being at Burning Man. I've only seen the videos, but it doesn't look like there's a lot of quote-unquote sleeping going on there. And I know that and I've done it. I've gone in those 1-2 week stints where you're just not getting more than 4 or 5 hours of sleep a night if you're lucky, and then it hits you. It hits you like a train, man.
I'm literally still trying to recover. I'm waking up like 2 p.m. now. I'm trying to I'm always like I'm gonna go to sleep early. I just can't. I'm still all like just mixed up and changed from everything. But overall, because I really haven't gotten into my experiences at Burning Man, it was a very, very positive, a very beautiful event. I actually was there for build, which means I helped build some of the camp that I was a part of. I was a part of Camp Contact, and in the smaller Camp Decentral, we had about 95 people in our camp. A lot of them were from the Bitcoin community, and our entire village provided about 300 talks and workshops to Burning Man. So it was a lot of different work. We had to set up a stage, build a stage, run the show, shoot the videos, do audio and visual stuff. And one thing that I really do take from Burning Man is the community of people that you get to know, because you're literally building something out of nothing, bringing everything in and then taking everything out. That's another fascinating aspect of it, because it's a leave no trace event. And literally, as we're speaking right now, there's still people combing the sand, making sure that there's nothing left out of place, that there's nothing, that there's no one single piece of garbage or even glitter on the national park that Burning Man takes place at. So that's another fascinating aspect. But there is also a layer of hypocrisy with just a bunch of rich kids who are going there to do drugs and just be stupid. And there was more of that this year than other years. And the ethos and the principles of Burning Man definitely are not as big of a priority as they were through other years that I went to Burning Man. There's a lot of dumb stuff. There's a lot of dark stuff. There's a lot of idiot behavior. But it is also a place where you could build something out of nothing, have a community, have good people around you. Luckily, our community and our camp had really, really good, solid, amazing human beings. We didn't have one butthole. There's usually one kind of butthole in a group or in a camp, but we didn't even have one. There are synchronistic, beautiful manifesting moments that do kind of happen there, that do take place. And it really just leaves you in awe, because it's a place where you could just be whoever you want. You could do whatever you want as long as you're not hurting anyone. It's a form of kind of freedom. It's a form of being able to express yourself, and it's a form of just being able to live in this kind of alternative society where money doesn't matter, judgment doesn't matter, and you can just be whoever you want to be and live freely as long as you're not hurting anyone. That to me is the ethos of it. I got a little bit of that at Burning Man, and then I was just kind of pissed off at some of the bullcrap hypocrisy that was there as well. And then that does deserve to be noted. But luckily, had a really good community. I was always looking forward to coming back to them at the end of the night. We had a huge fireplace, had very fascinating, deep, long conversations. And it was an event that overall I saw as a great experience. And if you could get past all the hypocrisy and all the bullcrap and all the fakeness that does happen there, I think it's worth checking out. But again, not the same like it was 5 years ago, but you hear that from everywhere. But it's still overall just a very good, positive feeling. And also it was just surreal, just being away from everything and being a part of like a larger community. That also is something that's very, not tribalistic, but something that's kind of inert in our basic DNA, to build something, to take it down, and to be a part of something bigger than yourself. This is why I kind of went there, and the kind of event that I experienced there from my personal understanding. So yeah, just wanted to explain that to you, Jason, because I know you probably think it's a satanic Luciferian orgy.
Well, I have my opinions, but I'm going to keep them to myself. Anyway, Luke, we lost your video. I want to read this one final super check, so I'm not sure if you're going to have any battery life while you try to fix that. This one's from Jesse Schmidt again. Jesse, I just want to reach out to you and say thank you so much. Over the last few weeks, and I think even over a month, you've contributed so much to WeAreChange. It's really humbling, and we do like your super chats. They're usually funny. Khabib Nurmagomedov is going to murder Conor McGregor in early October. I believe that's October 6th. But aside from that, I'd like to read... this
fake news propaganda.
Super chat. Hold on.
Absolute fake news propaganda. Connor's going to take it. Connor's going to knock him out in the second round, without a doubt.
We might need to live stream our reactions. Like, we won't live stream the event, but we'll both watch it together, Luke, and we'll live stream us being verbally jabbing at each other. That's going to be a tough one, because I'm definitely going to have the fam here for that. I had my brother over for UFC last night. Woodley came out big, and UFC fans out there, Woodley came out big. Good card last night, but...
I was not rooting for Woodley.
Oh, no? Well, I actually was kind of rooting for Till, but I'm glad Woodley came out the way he did. Good for him. He's a bad mother trucker. He's a bad mother. That's a big right. It's a big right on that man.
what we could do is we could actually bootleg the UFC, and me and you could be in the corners with video games, acting like we're playing a video game. And then maybe we could trick the algorithm system. I saw this in a meme. Maybe we could trick the algorithm that we're playing a video game.
Oh, they're playing
instead
UFC?
of illegally streaming the UFC pay-per-view fight.
That'd be hilarious and terrible. That'd be the end of us. That would be it. That would be the deplatforming.
Maybe we could do it on the backup channel.
The backup channel, we just got it monetized, and they're already demonetizing everything. I live streamed the Syrian story today. Yeah, it's not everything out of the gates, but even you know what? So this is kind of funny. Put out that video on Obama, and a lot of people didn't watch it before they read the comments and just immediately thumbs it down. And then they watched it, and they wanted to take it back, and then we changed the title, and it was a total different ratio of thumbs up, thumbs down. You were talking about how hard it is. That came out, I released that. First of all, we put it up there the night before on Friday. We hit it live 10:30 a.m. on Saturday. It literally just got monetized just before this broadcast, which means it took it 18 hours and 12,000 plus views before the algorithm says, you know what, I'll share it with people. And that's already too late because it's already been up there for over 24 hours. Anyway, let's read this. I'm not trying to whine. I'm just telling you how it works, people.
Yeah,
Jesse Schmidt.
all the videos, just so people know, all the videos that we release, I want to read the super chat. All the videos that we release automatically on this channel demonetized, automatically, no matter what. Now the backup channel, it was good for a while, now we're getting hit again. It's just this whole game is rigged, and when videos are demonetized, people need to understand this. The reach of those videos is significantly declined. That's why when you're demonetized or being under review, your video does not show up in the suggested, it does not show up in the homepage, this is not recommended to you. It is completely just soft censored when it's under review for monetization. And sometimes it's confirmed for absolutely no reason explained to us, with no absolute reason given, with no absolute reason possible. But sometimes they are remonetized, but that usually means that it's already done. The video is done. It takes days to remonetize a video, and then we don't end up earning any money on it, which is, again, just the usual case of what's happening here. It's now happening to Mark Dice and Tim Pool. All their videos out the gate as of the last few weeks are getting demonetized. It's been happening to us for over a year, which just shows you that, we're on the target list and our views are being significantly reduced, mainly because the algorithm and YouTube and the big partnerships and all the people we confronted, whether it was Henry Kissinger of the Atlantic Council or Eric Schmidt, the former CEO of Google, confronting them has had a very detrimental effect on our channel. Who would have thought? Next super chat by Jesse Schmidt, which I cold-heartedly agree with. Jason, you should work for CNN with those UFC predictions. Agree 100%, Jesse. That is a very accurate, correct statement. Conor McGregor will win against that Ruski. That Ruski's going down.
It's Dagestan, dude. It's not even Russia. He's Dagestani. He's on the border. They're born murderers there in Dagestan. I promise you. He's going to Dagestan, dude. He's in the. Look at the Dagestani fighters. In fact, the Magomed Shapirov. He's another Dagestani. He looked like a murderer. In fact, he pulled off a crazy leg bar after a flip that I'd never seen in my life last night. It's going to be quick. Don't worry, Jesse. I promise you. It's going to be real quick and real painless.
No way. He does this whole little wrestling, hugging thing. His fights are boring.
Dude,
he's going to hug him.
By the third round, I think Conor might tap out in the corner. He might not even come out for the third round. He gets beat so bad the first two.
Khabib's going to be running towards and trying to hug him. And it may be a boring fight because of that. And he's going to try to wrestle him.
He's going to take him to the ground, and he's going to beat him like a redheaded stepchild. That's what's going to happen.
He's going to hug him and be sweaty with him. And I don't like those fights. I like Conor's fights. I like Conor. I like his knockouts. He's unpredictable. He knocked out everyone who, again, everyone said, there's no way Conor could win against Jose Aldo. There's no way Conor could win against Alvarez. There's no way Conor could win against this person and this person and this person. And then again, he keeps surprising people. And he's going to surprise you again. Just what I personally believe in. Jesse Schmidt said again, you still getting a turtle when Khabib loses?
Listen, I'll get 3 stuffed Ninja Turtles and bring it on the program, and I'll puppeteer them for you for 20 minutes, Jesse. If Conor McGregor
is
wins.
this official? Is this official?
Whatever you want, man, because it's you can pretty much
I'm
get me to say
writing this
whatever.
down.
Yes, I'll get 3 Ninja Turtle toys and puppeteer them as the characters you want me to in a comedy troupe-esque I don't know, show. It's never going to happen. What's going to happen is I'm going to be sitting here gloating when Khabib annihilates. Listen, that fight might not even happen. By the way, it's scheduled for October 6th.
But the backup fighters that they have on the undercard that they're going to fill in if that fight doesn't happen is going to be big regardless.
Oh yeah, no, it's a big card. It's a big card, but at the same time, it might not even happen. He's in talks with Floyd Mayweather for the second boxing match, and that'll pay a lot more money. And he won't get as embarrassed on television, Jesse.
No. The fight's happening, but he's not doing any press for it. And the UFC's mad at him for not doing any media and press. And that's why a lot of people don't even know about this fight, that it's happening. But it's one of the biggest, sports ball fights out there. I'm not a big fan of sports balls, but when it comes to hand-to-hand physical combat, I believe there's a lot to learn here. I believe it's a more admirable sport than putting a pig leather in a hoop or a ball or running with it or whatever. Hand-to-hand combat is actually something useful, something you actually learn from, and self-defense is extremely important in your life. And that's why I love the UFC. I love MMA. You do too, Jason.
I do.
But we have this on the record. Jesse, just so you know, Jason will puppeteer 3 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on the show when Khabib loses and gets knocked out by Conor McGregor in the second round. Deal.
No chance.
Jesse Smith, again, hello. It's been a fun Sunday. Enjoyed it as always. Have a good weekend, guys. Thank you so much, Jesse. Whatever's left of the weekend. I still got another interview. I'm gonna be doing another interview with Partisan Girl right after this. Any questions you want me to ask her, the audience, or you, Jason?
Well, I mean, obviously we want to get her take on not only the Israelis arming them. There's stories right now that there's supposedly 200 British and U.S. soldiers in Idlib, and obviously why would the soldiers still be there unless they were supporting them? I think that's a good question. And you might want to get her take on 9/11, as we are 2 days away from the anniversary of the event that really shaped our entire foreign and domestic policy, especially what's going on in the Middle East today. And that's why I did that interview with TragedyandHope.com's Richard Andrew Grove. We're going to be releasing that within the next 2 days, either on the main or on the backup channel. Maybe a little piece on the main and the full hour, 10-minute conversation on the backup. But I think it's really important, especially in this day and age, for people to understand that history. Because again, Luke, all those people that forget our history, yes, they are doomed to repeat it. That's a very real thing.
Yeah, and that's why a lot of people are warning of another possible false flag with them suppressing free speech online so they could get away with it, because the only thing standing in their way is the free and open press. We don't have that. We have a dying, independent, small mom-and-pop press that's being squeezed out of existence and not only demonetized, demotivated, but censored outright completely, or just blocked and deleted. So that's the times that we're living in right now. The only thing standing in the way of complete tyranny is, of course, complete freedom and open source of information, which, of course, is their main enemy. You guys believe in that. You guys stand behind us, and that's why I always appreciate you guys. Anything else you want to say, Jason?
No, I just love everybody out there, and thank you so much for allowing us to do this, and just realize that, this is the real resistance, those people that don't play partisan politics, that do want peace on this planet, and aren't afraid to tell the truth no matter who it's about.
Exactly. Love you guys. Thank you again so much for watching. Stay tuned for a lot more. And people are asking, no, the interview with Partisan Girl will not be live. It will be on our YouTube channel tomorrow. So feel free to reach out to me on Twitter, twitter.com/Luke WeAreChange. If you guys have any comments or feedback or anything else. And then also check out all our alternatives before we get completely blacklisted and censored and destroyed from the internet for expressing freedom of speech ideas. Love you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching.